And hey, folks, once again, it's that Tuesday time where it's time for another edition of the ETB Sportsnet Coaches Show. No need to worry about putting a subtitle for my name since we already know who I am, but in case you don't know, Kenneth the K-Rock Klein here. And once again, I know it's cold once again, but there are, like the old Jerry Reed song goes, when you're hot, and when you're not, you're not. And there are three teams that are currently hot, and one of them happens to be the ETB women's basketball team. As of late, you know, Coach Rainbolt, going back all the way to the first at the end of halftime of the McMurray game, it seems like your girls have been playing particularly well, given the fact that you've won some 5 games in a row. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being very great, how would you rate their team's mindsets and the team's focus, or where the team is at this point?
Yeah, I'd say we're probably at a 7, somewhere in there. I mean, there's a lot of room for improvement, but we have been playing some pretty good basketball at times, and really proud of the girls. It's the fun part of the year, so they ought to be excited and playing well.
Absolutely, Coach. Conference play in session, and you're continuing to put yourself in a pretty good position to potentially host a conference tournament, if that may be. But for right now, let's get back into the last couple of games that you played, starting things off with Howard Payne. Interesting trend that's been going on recently. Sure, you're on a winning streak, but you had to kind of overcome some slow starts at the beginning of the game, whether it's because your shots weren't going in or some miscommunication. But the fact that the team is able to overcome those deficits, does that kind of give you an indication of how far the team has been able to come throughout the season, when early on, if they get behind, they just kind of struggle to catch up?
Well, I think it shows the potential of our team, and I think it shows that some of the areas of weakness of our team too. The fact that we can play, one great quarter. We've had multiple quarters this year where we've scored 20 to 25 points in a quarter and held our opponent to 4 or 5 points, and that was the reason why we won the game. But the other 3 quarters we've just been average at times, and so it shows that we can be an elite team and put teams away, but it also shows that we can be very average and leave teams in the game. And so what we've got to do is find a way to be more consistent throughout the game for 4 quarters, starting better. Early in the year we started the game really quickly, and then we came out in the third quarter and really struggled. As of late, we've kind of started slower and then picked it up in the second and definitely in the third quarters, and then hadn't really finished a fourth quarter the way we wanted to yet, but have found a way to win. And so I think that's the challenge for our team right now, is just how do we find a better balance of being more consistent for 4 full quarters.
And definitely. And speaking of one of those quarters where you talked about 25 points or so, you had one of those on Saturday against Sul Ross State where you started off well, 24-5, and then of course you were able to cruise to a victory. But everyone got an opportunity. Everyone that could play got an opportunity to get it into the game as well. When that happens, of course, given the fact that you told me about this earlier, but you're losing some key players after the end of this season. When you're watching the backup players play, how convinced are you, or what is it about the players that you look into, the way they play and say, man, this team has potential to maybe keep this train going even for next year and the years to come?
Well, that's the whole goal. We want to be a team that is a program that is competitive every single year, and some years you're going to be a little better than others because there is no substitute for experience, and this year we have a lot of it. We have 12 returners from last year, and then we have 6 seniors, so we have a lot of if you're ever going to be great, you have to have a high level of talent, which we feel like we do, but you also have to add in experience with that, and we have that this year. This time next year, hopefully we'll have a lot of returners and an incredible amount of talent, but we definitely won't have 6 seniors, and so experience, it matters. And so this year we are trying to get those underclassmen as much experience as we possibly can and get them a lot of experience in big games. That way this time next year that they're equipped to, like you say, keep the train moving in the right direction. And so we don't ever want to rebuild, we just want to reload, and the way you do that is to have year after year a lot of depth, a lot of stability, and got to be playing some younger players. But that's one of the things I'm thankful for. I'm so thankful for the 6 seniors we have. They are phenomenal, but we've got some amazing underclassmen, some great leadership, and a lot of different girls, but also some young talent that has got a lot of experience this year that we feel like is going to make the future bright as well.
Absolutely, Coach. And that obviously was a big factor in the game on Saturday as well. Now, obviously, if a starting lineup, you have 4 players that have really been the standard and locked in their starting roles. Obviously, you have Kim, you have Kendrick, you have Amanda, and then Hannah Hudson, of course, the number 4 spot. The wild card in all of this is the point guard position. Now, you've had to use multiple point guards for various reasons. Taylor obviously started, got hurt. Kaya came in, took her place. Taylor then came back and got some playing time, but, obviously she's still kind of coming off that injury, so you kind of needed to give her some rest. I call this decision gutsy, and not because I didn't think if it backfired it was on you, but because the person that you selected as a point guard had been playing and was playing pretty well, but she's obviously the quarterback of the offense in that situation, and given the fact that she's a freshman, I'm talking about Molly Daniel, of course, and suffice to say, she really had a tremendous game.
Yeah, well, I think that's one of the things that we got to find out early on is when Taylor went down, like I've said all year long, it definitely wasn't something we were excited about and anticipated playing for, but it did force our hand in terms of making sure those other 3 point guards got a lot of experience that they probably wouldn't have got if Taylor had been there the whole first semester. So that was a good thing. To your point of why Molly, well, we've said it ever since I've got here that what you get on the court come game time is what you've earned in practice. And not that Kaya or Gracie didn't have a good week, but Molly Daniel had a fantastic week. It's the best week of practice she's had all year long. And so whenever I found out that Taylor's knee was bothering a little bit after Thursday's game, I just made the decision, and talking to Taylor too, we made the decision what was best for her and best for the team was that she maybe take a day off and rest and give somebody else a chance to step in there while Taylor's getting recovered. And then it was like, okay, well, at this point, we don't just assume that it's going to be Kaya because she started all the other games and she did a great job. We go back and evaluate who's had the best week of practice, and Molly was it for that week. Another thing about that too, though, Molly is a natural breakdown point guard. She is a distributor. She's very explosive and does a really good job of penetrating, getting people open, and finding the open girl. And so she really fits well with that first group of Kim and Kendrick and Hannah and Amanda, because Molly don't need to shoot the ball in that group. And whoever is the point guard in that group, Taylor included, they don't have to shoot it much. Their job is to get those other girls the ball. And then when we bring in that second group, that blue group, we've really enjoyed having Kaya and Gracie together, 2 point guards that even though they're freshmen, they can kind of play off of each other, and they have such great chemistry that works well. So, but luckily, like you said, Molly had 7 assists and 0 turnovers and played fantastic, and I think a lot of that was her week of prep. But she just got out there and played fearlessly. And Molly's a winner. I mean, she comes from Martins Mill, which is one of the best high schools in the state of Texas, and won 2 state championships as a starting point guard. She knows how to lead a team and win. And so, but really proud of her to step up in that moment. And
that, of course, is an example of a true American story. If you work hard, girls, you can earn a starting job from Coach Rusty Rainbolt. So, all right. Well, with the funny side aside, this week, of course, you're back on the road and you're taking on Louisiana College and Belhaven. These are 2 programs that obviously are having contrasting seasons, but certainly in the ASC anything goes, especially with Louisiana College, who not necessarily where they want to be, but again, you have to go to their place, and definitely a hostile environment going into that situation.
Yeah, it's college basketball, and everybody's going to say it, but there's a reason why you play the game. In conference play, anything can happen, and they've got college athletes too. They're young. They've got a lot of freshmen this year, so but they have a really good coach. It is a hard place to play. You're going to go on a road trip, and anytime you travel and the weather and being in a different environment, it can cause some problems. And so our girls have to be locked in for that, and we're going to have to play well to get out of there with a victory. And then obviously, like you said, Belhaven on Saturday is having a fantastic year, and so we'll have our hands full there too. But at this point in the season, it's all about our players. I mean, it's really whatever they want to make of the season is what they'll do. Our job as coaches is to help them be the best they can. But in terms of the commitment and the focus and the energy and the desire to get better, it all falls back on our players. And I tell Amanda and Kim and Kendrick, our leaders, our captains, and our seniors, it's like, this is your team. It's going to be what you make it. And so if you're not ready to go on the road, then you'll probably get your butts kicked, and you'll have to learn the hard way, and you won't be able to host. Because right now we're playing every game to try to host a conference tournament. So, but we've got great leadership, and I think they'll be ready.
Absolutely, Coach, and we cannot wait to join you guys on the road as you hopefully go 2-0 this weekend and taking on some good competition. That's Rusty Rainbolt, head women's basketball coach. We'll hear more from him next time on the ETB Sportsnet Coaches Show.